Hey there, it's Stef. Welcome to the Stef Fox podcast. Okay, Frank, I would love to know, what do you feel like is different as a leader for you now compared to when you started in leadership?
Well, there's so many things different. There's generational differences as leading, but it's such a great opportunity to learn a new way of thinking because for me, at first it was complicated to get my mind wrapped around what people were thinking and looking at and why was it so challenging, as a word would be. But once I got into their head and got into their shoes and started thinking and learning, okay, let's look at this from a different angle. But it took that transition, and that took time, and it was very important to really sit back and do the homework. It didn't just come naturally for me to understand the way everyone was thinking. I was just in the salons this morning, and our senior members are still perplexed about the new members on the team. And I said, okay, it's all right, let's keep moving forward. But what we do is have a responsibility and an opportunity to teach them what we know. And it's not walking uphill both ways in the snow. It's core values, what makes what we are and what we do for people. It's the best. Because at the end of the day, we're all here to do the same thing. It's just how we get there and how we're heard and how we get to communicate. The biggest challenge is getting everyone back in alignment, and it's taken time. My favorite person in the world to help me understand that through the years has been Simon Sinek. If you want to listen to anyone, he's the guy that I think has a pulse on and most of it that really helped me understand instead of me being right and them being wrong. So
Yeah, my question is,
Oh,
go ahead, Jana.
I
Yeah, go
love
ahead.
that question. Frank took it in a different kind of spin, but the question about how leadership feels differently today than in the younger years, neither one of us came with the skill sets that we have today. And we were both hairdressers formulating a way to become leaders. And it was really hard because the people that followed the first generation, which was Pam's footprints, thought totally differently, and they didn't trust us, and they didn't think that we were going to be able to accomplish what was set forth for us. So what I love about thinking about where we came from and where we are now is there's no comparison. And if we could only help other people feel and learn and discover that what you know today is so much different than what you're going to understand in 25 years, because you only get there through experience.
So that's interesting. You both talked about time, that it like takes time. And Frank, you used two words, used the word complicated and challenging, and then time. But one of the things you said I would love you to elaborate on is you got better at this once you started to understand what was going on in their heads. So how did you do that?
actually going around, sitting with them, and then really doing a lot of deep diving homework and understanding I hate the millennial, the generation thing, but there is a different way. We all listened and heard things. And once I could hear what they were talking about, because as a leader, it's our job to lead them with what they know. And I call it standing in their shoes. And then standing in their shoes for quite some time. It's not just, okay, I heard you, but let's do it this way. It's, I heard you, now help me understand how I can help you understand what we need to do. Because they need what we have. Wisdom, experience. They don't think so with the advent of so many things. And we go slowly through that. But, oftentimes I say it takes a lifetime to live a life. And slow and steady. And the biggest thing is building trust within them where they understand that you have their best interest at heart. It's not about me. It's not that we walked uphill both ways in the snow and you should just follow along because we said so. That day is gone. So look at the opportunity. They're teaching me things that I never thought imaginable, and it's exciting. We're getting there faster because it's okay to be faster. We used to think, oh, you got to wait for everyone, and you wait for the leader, and then you follow the leader. No, who wants to take the role and run with it? It's been really, really exciting, and watching them, the younger mindset, jump in. The challenge, I was just talking with Jana this morning about, we still have some room to grow with our senior members because they haven't done all the homework. We've had lots of meetings, but it takes time. But the biggest thing it takes is the will. You have to want to hear them and want to understand where they're coming from. Once you do that, things really change rapidly.
So, Jana, where do you, in everything Frank just said, are you aligned to that? And if so, where do you find the patience for what you're describing? Because it requires a lot of empathy and a lot of patience from where I'm sitting listening to you. What do you think about that?
Well, I wake up every day and it's a fresh new day. It's day one. And we have the opportunity as partners, parents, as leaders, as co-owners, we have all these opportunities to start our day together. And it used to be in the shower. Well, he's out much earlier than I am now, so we don't shower together, but that's where we used to have our daily conversations. And now we sit and we have coffee and we talk about what's next, what's happening, what's the day going to bring, what are we going to bring to the day. And I couldn't do it unless I planted my own 2 feet really firmly and know that I wake up every day with gratitude. And I can't change where I've been. I'm doing my best. I know that everyone that we're surrounding ourselves with, they're doing their best. And what we have to do is just level up from where we are today. So we don't, well, at least I don't live, it's really hard for me to live in yesterday. Because, and I said that a minute ago, because I always do my best and I always put both feet forward and try to walk into it. I think with looking at our leaders, and there's always transformation. There's transformation every day that is organic, that we have no control over. And if you look at it in the right way, what the organic transformation does for us is it makes us better. Because I didn't know we were going to have a manager this week that decided to stop working because she needs to be with her family. So how did we pivot as a company to find somebody to take her place and then secure with her team that the person that is going to take her place was going to even make it better? When there's fear, there's unknown, there's all kinds of emotions that happen because we're in the people business. Above and beyond anything else. And we love people, but people have transformation and experiences transform. And I don't know if that answers your question, but each day is day one. Each day is a fresh day to accomplish what's in front of us, to do the best we can. And my learning experiences from every day come back to me and remind me that if there's a problem if there's someone that doesn't know what their responsibility is, especially if they're in leadership, it's because we haven't given them the tools that they need to feel that they can succeed. Because I can have the expectations, but if I'm not clear in what the expectations are and I don't help you learn what the idea is and walk you through it and support you through it and help you have those experiences, you'll never live up to the expectations of leadership that we have for our leaders. And it falls back to us because we are the visionaries, we're the directors, and we have to be really clear on how we share that with our team every step of the way.
Frank, were you going to add to that? I saw you taking notes.
Yeah, Jenna wakes up that way, and I laugh because it's beautiful, and she does. But it's our attitude that will absolutely define everything. And yeah, there are tough times and there are moments, but it's up to us And that's the role that's been bestowed upon us. And you have to take it with honor. And yeah, it doesn't come with a rule book, but you have good friends around. You do the right things for the best that you can do. We're blessed that we get to bounce things off of each other. That's the beauty of us. Jen and I think very differently, but respectfully. And it's really healthy to have those approaches. And it's what's defined us. Because I'll just say this, if I were doing this all by myself, we'd probably be out of business because I'd be having fun and it'd be all over and doing my thing. But with Jana's guidance and the structure of our whole team, and I think when I talk about leadership, when I talk to a lot of people, you gotta hedge on everyone around you and trust them. Give them the opportunity. The more you do, you'll be amazed at what they'll come up with. And then take the pieces you need, leave the ones you don't, but make it work.
So for either of you, if there's a leader listening that is hearing you thinking, yes, I would love to have the right mind space. Yes, I want to believe in my team. Yes, I want to build trust. And I don't even know where to start because I'm overwhelmed and I'm stressed and I feel like they always disappoint me, right? And a lot of the things that all of us have heard leaders share. What advice would you give to that leader for where to start?
Do you want me to answer that?
Good, you start. I'll finish.
The most important aspect of all of this is whoever is guiding you in that position, or whoever you look up to, or whoever is the person in your life, in your realm of learning in this life. You have to go to them and ask them the question. You have to go to them and communicate. You have to be maybe a little vulnerable, a little bit more than you normally are, because unless you start the conversation, no one will ever know how you're feeling. So if I have determined that one of my leaders is maybe not living up to the expectation, that lives in my heart, in my mind. So I have to be the one that approaches them and asks the question, what do you need help with? What do you need guidance with? What's your favorite thing that you're doing right now that you really see the cause and the effect and the outcome of your time and your energy and your passion? But if I'm the leader and I'm frustrated at stuck in between my visionary and my whoever is guiding me and the people I'm trying to lead, and I don't have the tools, you got to find out what are the tools that you need. How do I go to the person that's leading me? And we have Megan, so her and we throw this around all the time. And she gives me ahas and I give her ahas. But if we weren't communicating about what is the variable, what do we need to bridge as, the leaders and the ones we're leading, and then how are we raising future leaders and future professionals? It's every day. And I think the only way to elevate wherever you are is how you're communicating with the people around you. And communication is the only way to be a good leader, a good confidant, a good friend, be in a good relationship, a good spouse. Because if I just thought of all the things I want you to do all day long, and I never shared with you what they were and how we could accomplish them together, there's no outcome. There's just in my head, creating all this stuff. And it's really possible a lot of times as leaders, my self-talk gets so strong about what I'm not doing and what I don't understand and how it's not working. And nobody else knows that, except now I'm kind of creating that path because my intentions are so strong because I haven't had the conversation or I haven't communicated. So I would recommend to that leader that wants to grow and feel the abundance and the opportunity of being a good leader, and just practicing communicating at your utmost, because that's all you have. And ask the questions.
Two things in that maybe you could elaborate on. One is I heard have humility, like be able to have humility with the people that you lead, that you can go in and acknowledge, like maybe you haven't been clear, you have questions. But I heard that then the other way, like you're the leader, in this case, you guys own your business. there's somebody that maybe you could look to as a mentor. Like maybe you need advice. Maybe you need someone to help you get out of your own head. Like, so I heard vulnerability on one side and humility on the other.
I think that's wherever you are in life. I mean, that's the part of growth. Especially, I mean, that's why we look to people like you, Steph, because you give us the tools that we need that we would never see for ourselves. And if we're the ones that are always trying to develop the what's next, and we're not utilizing our industry resources and AI and all the things that are stimulating our world today, we'd be in the same place. And the humility and the vulnerability of being a leader, I do not do this for me. I do this for all the people that will follow, that will become better at what they do. And only because we have had such amazing mentors in our lives that have helped us ground ourselves in the place that we are today, leading a business, raising a family, having all the things that every other human being in the world does. And we rely on the experience, but I learn more from being a little vulnerable and allowing the people that we're leading to help me figure out what's next. And that's what's so cool about being the second generation in our business and now leading the third generation, because we're stimulating that through the next level and learning things that we had no idea we'd ever know or ever have the opportunity to do so.
Here you mentioned Simon Sinek as a resource that you lean into for knowledge and insights. What would you say about how you have found mentors? And what would you tell people that are like looking for mentorship as business leaders, owner, or just in a leadership role? How do you find a mentor?
My go-to is Une Coiffure. It's a team organization that we've belonged to, of the best, people who are of like mind, wanting to grow the industry first and foremost alongside their business. And that has been monumental in our opportunity. But then there are so many offshoots of that. And there's so many seminars. The biggest thing I would tell anyone just starting out, and they hit that, I'm excited, I've got my salon, and now it's not going the way I want it to go. Write your plan down. Because if you don't have a plan, and then write it with a pencil, with a big eraser.
I love that.
It could evolve.
It will evolve.
And it could probably be better. And the number one thing, ask the people, how can we make this better? Just ask them. They'll tell you. But it has to be a safe place. The more you do that, and throw them into your shoes, it really helps tremendously. Hey, if you were running this, what would you do differently? And then stop talking and let them do their thing and write it down in pencil. And then come back to it and say how you could evolve it. It's so important to follow your dream. It's not easy. Our mentor, Pam, it was an amazing person. It is an amazing person. Still to this day, I call her. She is my whole wisdom counsel. One person makes up my counsel. And she gives me that moment of clarity. You need that person in your life. It's that person that's going to tell you what you really need to hear and still love you tomorrow. Because sometimes I get full of myself and I go, I just want it my way. Well, it doesn't work that way when you're dealing with human beings. Remember your passion. Remember why. We all got into this. I can tell you, I still do hair one day a week, and it's my favorite day of the week, and it grounds me. It reminds me of why the magic happens. When people love coming in and their smiles. Now what I do is I walk around trying to remind everyone else, look, everyone loves this place. Stop looking at what isn't and look at what is. Because we're all prone to look at what we don't see going our way. And it's back to gratitude. Be grateful. The young lady this morning, she's trying to buy a house. unbelievable. That is heaven. I mean, and she never thought she'd ever be there, and she's doing incredible. But it wasn't because of her, and we teach that along the way. Jen and I, I always say this is a team. We're on it, we're professional, we have our values, all that. But it is so much more than just that. It's a way of life in Gadabout, in Vervet. And we live this thing authentically through everything. It's not just on the wall. We understand why. And in leadership, there are some good days and there are some interesting days. And the interesting days are the growth days. Because if it was just all good, it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be, where do we grow? So don't forget, I mean, for every person that's trying this, and we talk to so many salon owners, because we're open book. We'll help you, we'll share. But it's easy to get lost. It's easy to get lost in it. Remember your dream, but why is your dream your dream? If it's about you, this is a tough one to do that with, as I see it. If it's about we and we grow, you got a much bigger, better chance, I see it. And because we're all human and we're all doing the same stuff. It's fun. So it is exciting to see the opportunity. Hey, we all just went through the toughest time we'll ever go through. And we made it. And if you didn't make it and you're doing it again, congratulations for keep trying, because that's what it's about. There's a love here.
So I talk to a lot of leaders in the beauty industry that think that they're kind of in this alone. Maybe they don't have a business partner, their spouse is not in the business, or if they don't have a spouse. And a lot of times what comes up in those conversations also is that they feel so passionate about the work. Like the work can almost take over the whole life, right? It's like you are in it, you think about it all the time, which feels challenging for a lot of them, myself included, than in relationships. You know, you get so into the work that you do, you're so passionate and purpose driven. So in your case, you guys are second generation in the business, married, you have a third generation in the business. Pam, your wise mentor, is your mother-in-law, Frank. So you guys have this like family and work and this whole dynamic. So can you talk about that? Like, have you, or maybe you haven't, how have you distinguished between our life that isn't our work and our work? Is it all one? Like, what does that look like for a third generation in the business company?
Great question.
Wow, that's a really tough one to answer. Through our experience of life, growing up in this industry, both of us, we started very young, right out of high school. We both had no idea that we would ever be where we are today. It was not, we did not pencil it in back then. I'm pretty sure of that. We started cutting hair and we were both really excited about that. And then we became educators for our company and we loved that. And we loved the part where you got to teach, because when you got to teach, you learned so much more. And then we were encouraged to get involved in every industry event that we could. There was Hair Color USA, there was Intercoiffure that we joined since we were children. I was on stage cutting hair when I was like 18. We were part of the PBA, we had an organization with iSpa, we had Spa 7. We were taught to surround ourselves with people in this industry. And when I think about how we evolved, we could have never done it even if we were the second generation, if we didn't seek out other resources that helped us get through all the moments from the beginning to the middle to where we are today. And, you know, Frank talks a lot about in life how show me the 5 people you hang out with, I show you who you'll become. And I think as a human being, I feel the same way. If you're leading with passion and you're hanging around with people that are not passionate, whatever they're leading or whatever they're doing, you're not going to find the fulfillment that you need, because you're not going to have somebody helping you get to the next level. I don't know, because I only know what life has brought me through my own experiences. And I'm not one to make assumptions that I could understand how someone must feel. We had a phone call last week of an individual that just opened a salon. One of his hairdressers called us and asked us if we could help. He needs a lot of help. He just opened the salon, and I asked a few questions. I said, has he been in this industry? No. Is he passionate about this industry? I don't know. The third question was, I was like, are you guys a team-based? Or no, we all rent our own stations. And I'm like, we are an open door. If he wants to come visit us, yes, we will show him what we have. But it has no similarity to what I understand as a business owner. So, I think there was kind of two parts to your question. If I'm listening today and I'm thinking about how do I get there, I don't have a wife, I don't have a husband, I don't have kids that are following me, I don't even have a good partner. Find something that's greater than you that you want to emulate, or someone that even Frank, he listens to books on tape. Every time he's in his car, he's got another author telling him something that is going to help him improve his life and his skills. And he recites it. And we get in the car and we listen to it also. But you never can do it alone. And you never have to feel like you have to do it alone, because there's always resources that will help you get the information you need and the support and the love. And there's so many passionate people in this industry that all you have to do is do a little research and it'll come to you.
Yes. You have to decide what you're going to be. Are you a company to get into business, to sell your business, the finite game or the infinite game? Gadabout's the infinite game. We're going for the longest haul we could get. We've been here for 45 years. So that's a big thing you have to really ask yourself, because you need a foundation if you're going to go far. If you're going to go short, you can fluff it and manage through it, but it gets exhausting. But the other side of the question was, how do we separate family time versus business time? And
oh yeah, I forgot that part.
You have to really understand at a level. At first, it's always going, because it's brainstorming, it's exciting. You have to love what you do. If you love what you do, you share it with everyone. If the people that are sitting at the table are your family members and they love what they do and they're doing the business too, now you've got this tornado just building up where it's so exciting to watch it just turn into this magical thing. But then there comes a time when you say, time out. Let's take time for each other. And that's what we do best. You have to find a sacred place that nothing bother you there. Take the time to relax. I've always heard the best woodchopper in the forest takes a day to sharpen his axe. Because if you just keep chopping, you'll chop through, but you'll get exhausted and it'll take 10 times longer. I had a dear friend tell me, he was so excited because he saw my passion and my goal. He said, oh my God, you're amazing. You're amazing. Look at your energy. Look at your energy. It's amazing, Frank, what you can do. And he's like, wow, you must be so proud of yourself. You're better than God. I go, what are you talking about? I go, I'm not like God. He goes, well, even God took a day off when he created the whole plan. And I always hear that a little bit when I am excited and I am passionate. But we call it, we act at home. We try really, really in our heart not to talk about work. I kind of put my foot down because I don't want to miss the family part of it and really integrate. And I don't want to overwhelm anyone because my energy's a lot. So we try to just be calm and make that happen. And then magic happens because then they come up with some good stuff.
And the greatest part of all of that is when we were growing up, our kid and had children, they would tell us to quit talking about work. And then now that they're as busy as they are, now we're telling them, can we not talk about work? But the one thing that works the best is we always gather and have table topics. Whatever it is, we sit at the table, we put our phones away, we have others join us. We do this at least once a week, if not twice a week. And we have a topic instead of the topic of work. So And that really helps because you have to create the diversion that you want to have happen, and it builds community in a different way. Because if we're all work and no play, we would not have the successful relationship and family relationship that we do.
That is such a great practical tip. I love the table topic. I buy conversation cards and I use them with my boys in the car because we're anti like iPads and phones and things in the car. And I know I'm a little countercultural there, but my 7 and 8-year-olds get to ride and look out the window like the rest of the world does. And so we ask questions, and it's so interesting because, gosh, I could go on about business. You guys know this. Like when we get together, we can talk like all day long. I could go on about business all the time because I'm so passionate about it. But it's watching your story, knowing your daughters, knowing Megan, knowing you. It's so inspiring to me to know that you have found the way to prioritize. You can have a strong passion and a strong purpose and not forget that you're also a person and other people are people and there's life and that there's more than just that passion and purpose. And so I just find that to be incredibly inspiring. Like I love that about you guys. So thank you for setting that example.
And thank you for recognizing it, because it is why we have such a beautiful way to communicate with one another. And it all goes back to communication. And you got to get off the topic once in a while because you just beat it if you don't.
Yeah. Well,
and then you get to celebrate and learn.
You do. Something I think that is so aspirational for me when I look to you two as leaders is how you have developed a relationship with your daughters that as adults, they want to be around you. I find that to be like the most magical, exciting, like biggest accomplishment. I mean, you run a massive business, multiple locations. And when I sit here and knowing you in the business way that I do and having been able to become friends, I'm like, oh my gosh, your biggest accomplishment is your adult children want to hang out with you. And they do weekly, daily, like not just because they have to see you in business, but because they come over for dinner. I'm like,
travel with us. We take them everywhere we go.
I pray for that every day. I'm like, my boys better want to come to my house and hang out all the time. I just think that's so awesome. So what would you do, or what advice would you give to the leaders in our industry who are so busy trying to grow the business? How do you recommend they create that balance so that hopefully they end up with that dynamic? Because I would hate for anybody to get later in life and not have that.
I think when our children were young, we made the decision together as parental leaders that we wanted to have the house. So the house was the house. We invited our family over every Sunday night for dinner. Both sides of the family, we got them together, we had dinner. I'd cook, they'd clean. Frank would always say, even if you don't ask them to bring something, ask them to bring something for next Sunday. So everybody feels like they're participating. And then when the kids started growing up, we wanted our house to be that same house. We wanted to have the kids over after school, and we were working. So we had a very busy lifestyle, but we created that open path so they wanted to hang out at our house, and it was easy for them to bring their friends over. And their friends, I mean, they still, every time they're in town, they come to our house for dinner. They come to our house. And that is like the most beautiful thing. And we are so grateful and so fortunate that our kids grew up and decided to stay in the same community. So many of our friends, their kids do not live here. But I just think you have to start that early. You have to have that sense, kind of like this is our work environment. This is the place. This is the place you want to be. This is the place you want to bring your family. This is the place you want to bring your kids to have their haircuts. Our house is the same. This is the place. This is the place you can live. This is the place, if you're having a hard day, you can come talk to Jana and Frank. We'll sit on the couch with you and talk about whatever you need. I'll make you your favorite meal every time you're around. And I just think you just have to create the life that you're imagining for yourself. And it will come. You build it and it will come.
The other thing I would tell everyone in life We only get one, everyone.
Mm.
So be very careful of the one you choose. And we live by one big rule. It's not the destination, it's the journey. Design your journey. If you want your children to be around you, design that. If you want to have Sundays off, design that. We're not open on Sundays. We're not what everyone would think we are. We designed it. We got to decide and sat down. And it is diligence because there's a lot of people looking at other things that you should be doing. Know what you want to be and then do that. So important. I watch this industry get swallowed up by so many outside sources. Stick to what you want and you will get that. And you'll modify along the way a little bit, but there are some non-negotiables in our life, and we do nothing on Sundays. Nothing on Sundays in our company. People have looked at us like you're crazy if you're not open on Sunday. Sunday's one of our best days. They go, it's not ours. And our people love us for that. And that's one of those things. So that's the little bit of balance. But if you're in business, get ready, because if you haven't figured it out, it's always going. And you have to love it. That's why find a job you love, never work a day in your life. And that's kind of we have lots of little one-liners around here. And they work because it's simple for everyone else to understand. And I tell people, if you don't really like it or love it, be careful. Be careful because it'll swallow you up. They're little things, but really surround yourself. Find the people you want to be most like. Surround yourself with them. It'll rub off. It will rub off, and then eventually you'll become the best version of that, and then you'll pay it forward and pass it on to the person who asked you for help one day.
So good. I think you guys you probably already have it, like a giant sign, number one, that says, this is the place. Like I felt the whole energetic vibe of that. Like, this is the place feels so powerful. I'm like, oh, yes, I love that. And then Frank, you saying, knowing what you should be, not what the world wants you to be or what you think like somebody else wants from you. Like those two things are just what I hear in both of those is like real clarity, like spending the time, kind of back to your prior, like write it in pencil, right? What is the dream? But spending the time to know what is that, because you can't be in this place if you don't know that this is the place you want to be.
Exactly.
You know, and you can't stay the course when things do feel challenging without being pulled off by a lot of distractions if you're not clear on what part of that matters to you, not what matters to the world around you. Because that I see a lot in leaders. We get, whether it's imposter syndrome or fear or overwhelm, and we think we should be doing. I'll give you a good example, and I would love your guys' thoughts on this. I saw a post in a forum 2 days ago from an owner. They posted anonymously, and they said, you know, really having a hard time making any kind of profit. Like, basically, these are our percentages, and there's nothing else that I can figure out what to do besides raise prices. But we are in an area where we're already at the top of price, and so I'm afraid of what to do. And then another owner came under and said, well, maybe you have to essentially do less and charge the same price. Like turn your partial into a 10-pack, but don't change the price. And I had real conflict with that inside.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I had real like, wait a minute, like you can't do the same thing or do less and charge the same thing. Like this, you can't take value away. Like this doesn't work. But people get stuck in fear. So here's this business owner who's like, feels like she has maxed her thinking. And I think the distinguishing thing here I'd love your guys' input on is her thinking, right? She's looked at it every way she thinks she can, and she's at a loss. And the reality is she went to an online forum is getting some pretty poor advice that is real scary. Like she takes that advice that is potentially very detrimental. So as you look for advisors, you mentioned Intricafure, you mentioned Pam. How else or who else, how do you vet that? How do you know I can trust this person to give me sound reasoning to make a change in my business when I'm feeling probably pretty emotionally fragile in this particular case?
Values. Align your values with people. These are that's why it's a way of life. We you know, I often watch people 10x everything. I love that. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? One day at a time. Stick to your plan. Understand what you value and go after it one day at a time. Make that commitment. You got here because you wanted it, but you really have to hold on to it. And you'll be challenged. There are those challenges. These are called living life on life's terms in my world. But you really have to stick to that. The more you can, and surround yourself with other people. There's 2 to 10. I mean, I could go through a list of great, real resources. Invest in those. Is there one that covers the gambit? No. No, it's because it just requires, they just had Serious Business that was wonderful in New Orleans, and I love that show or whatever we call it, seminar, because it's life. They don't talk about just business in dollars and cents. They talk about integrity and things of that nature and the planet itself. But really, wholeheartedly understand that. We have been blessed, and we really take that to heed. It is our blessing to be who we are.
So I heard a lot in that question, and I went right to people before profit. And I went right to your metrics for the end in mind. If we're always focused on the end in mind and not where we're taking it, we're never going to be there. And if it's about money, it's never going to be enough. And I think it doesn't matter who you learn from, how you share, where you're going for your information. The execution is the most important part, because we can go to 2 to 10, we can go to Serious Business, we can go to all these places and get all this information and feel so full ourselves. But if we don't come back and debrief and execute the most abundant nuggets that we find, then we're just filling ourselves up without helping our business grow. And I think this person that's having a challenge, they first need to surround themselves with people that are like-minded, that can help them focus on what the future could look like. But it's really about the people. You know, this year our word is excellence. And we're having one-on-ones with every one of our teammates. And we're talking to them about, what are you doing in your full service wheel? How are you elevating your experience? People are not just coming for a haircut. They've called themselves, they've driven themselves, they've made their appointment, they're in your chair. And if all you're giving them is that haircut, what's next? What's next for you? How are you going to build your business, and how is our business going to grow? So taking the time to spend with your people and giving them an advantage on how they can help grow their own business. And I always talk about, I go to a great steak restaurant for a steak. And I walk in and the server walks up to me and says, well, tonight we have fillets or ribeyes. Which would you prefer? And I say, well, I came for a steak, so I'm going to have a ribeye. So that's what I get. I'll have it medium rare. And then the next time I go, the server says, oh, we know that you're here because our steaks are the best steaks. You've made your reservation. You're in my booth. I get to serve you tonight. Let me tell you about the amazing potatoes and the amazing spinach and the amazing dessert that we have. And I can't wait to share all that with you. Where would you like to start? Which of these would you like? And we're trying to share with our team that they're here for a haircut, but how are you giving them an experience so they want to come back? They want to see you again. They want to see you more frequently. They want to have you. And they want to have all the other amenities and the things that we offer as a company. So I say you got to look a little deeper, especially if you're only looking at your profit, because it'll never come. If that's what your eye is on, you'll never have enough.
Jana, when you were talking about your team that way, what it made me think is, what could you give them? The question may be, what feeling do you want to give them? Because you're not just giving them a haircut. Like you have the opportunity to give them a feeling. Like what is the feeling? Do you want them to leave excited, confident,
Love that.
beautiful? Like what is the feeling? And honestly, you could almost think about that from archetype kind of way, where it's like there are different consumers, right? There is the consumer who wants to come in and have the deep dive of my life with my hairdresser. And then there's the consumer that wants to come in and they are there primarily first for the great haircut. But there is another feeling attached to that. They want to feel cared for, pampered, confident, even just peaceful, left alone while they do their work. Like there's always a feeling. So I think that would be so interesting. It's, my mind went right to
I
that.
love that. I love that.
Feeling you want to create for people. And maybe it's different depending on the guest, but the actions probably all look pretty similar regardless of what the like feeling is. Because we
Well,
know what it's like to serve.
I love that you're taking experience and you're giving it a true like feeling. Like I can have an experience that's warm or kind or relaxing or I think you just did my full experience wheel.
I love that. Oh, well, it made me honestly think of places where I've had my haircut and why I pick the places I go. And it's like, you know, I can go to I think of a service I've had at Van Michael, and you leave there and you're like the feeling is awe. Because the for me it was awe, maybe not for the consumer, but for me understanding what it takes to operate in the like way that they operate, I was just like, wow, like this is like a machine that is smooth and it goes, and I am just like mind blown, right? But then I've had other haircut experiences where it just felt like this is so good. This person's so nice. Like, love this conversation. And I wasn't looking at the operations of the, but they were both great haircuts. But the way I felt was very different in both of them. So it's like if I'm a hairdresser and I want to build a book of business, what are the feelings I want to create?
Right?
Because then that's going to be contagious. That vibe is going to come right back to me, and I get to your point, kind of earlier, like dream up, like what's my day, like how am I feeling, what am I doing for people?
Love it.
Love
Well,
that.
and for the new salon owner, you want to ask yourself that what is it that you want your guests to feel as they're walking in and walking out. We had a funny story. We had this water machine challenge. We changed our little water machines. Well, the new water machines, no one could figure out how to use them. I mean, we had guests looking at this water machine because they would stand next to it and it would start dropping water because it was touchless. Well, that wasn't working out well. So then we had to go, we put signs all over the water machine. It was like, this is insane. Understanding that that was really not what we wanted them to feel. Like, oh my God, I'm not smart enough to know how to turn on the water and get a cup of water or a hot cup of tea. We've gone through 3 cycles of water machines to get back to just give me a basic one. But, and everyone's like, Frank, you're overthinking this.
No,
It's
it's
crazy.
real.
It's not, because that's our guest. I want our guests to feel brilliant and beautiful and loved and nurtured. And that's how that works. And it's those little things. But if I were doing this, just from the beginning, it would be, how do I want everyone to feel? The biggest thing is the staff. How do I want our team to feel? Are they going to be proud that this is happening? Because to Jana's point, if it's money, there'll never ever be enough that'll make you happy. I know a lot of people with a lot of money, and they're just dying because they're not happy. They'd give anything to have the fun at the table with their family and where it's all good and they feel fulfilled. And that's what you want to shoot for us. And this is what works for us. What works for other people, that's their thing. But for us, it's that. That's what we shoot for.
So I'm laughing because your water machine thing happened to me when I was at your salon.
Sorry. We
And
got
I
a new
looked at it
person.
and I was like, I can't figure this thing out. Somebody out from the desk, actually, I think it was Laura, came over. She's like, I'll get it for you. And she just took my water bottle and filled it up. It was hysterical. I had that,
50 times a day.
like, am I not as smart as a water machine? Like, I thought that in my brain. So I love that you use that as an example because it's so true.
Well,
Um,
when I talked to the owner of the water machine just a couple days ago, it's funny, this is a funny thing. He thanked me. He was so nice. He's brought us several water machines to try to rectify this situation. I go, you got me one that is like a button, like it, I'll take it. Can I have that? Well, they don't make that anymore because it's not hygienic that way and all that fun stuff. I go, you just need to understand, we can't teach 40 some odd thousand people how to use the water machine every time they come in. And he was great at it. So we're all work together. We all work together. I love that stuff.
so this actually makes me think of a business lesson that I learned in my software development phase, where when you see an opportunity for something to be radically different in the way that it's solved, it's easy when you're visionary to want to make radically different the solution. But the reality is, most people can't step into radically different. It's like you have to find first phase from what's current. And that might feel completely stupid to the person trying to design it because you're like, why would I recreate almost what is? But it's where most people's comfort level is. It has to be very similar to what they've experienced. And then you kind of baby step away from that into ultimately what is radically different through building trust, use cases, all of the things. And I've learned that lesson the hard way, a lot of money and a lot of time. But it's like how consumers work, and it's how our teams work too, right? When we make big radical changes, it's startling for people. It breaks trust. It creates stress. It does things that hurt the business. And so we have to think about like, what's just the next level of different that takes us the next step on the journey. And I hear a lot of that in what you guys are saying. You've very clearly shown you have learned those lessons, like in your years in the business, like not to radically disrupt things. But so I think my last question as we kind of wrap up would be, Frank, you're highly visionary. You and I could go on for days, literally, without sleeping in conversation about ideas. And Jana, you are so positive and gratitude filled and just like optimistic all the time. So those two energies are high energy. I imagine you two get together and have a million amazing ideas. How do you, as leaders and as a couple, balance everything you want to create for people and all the possibility you see for them with what's possible today? How do you balance that? All the big vision with like, where are we starting with it today?
For me, we think so differently that we blend so well. And the thing about any relationship for me is I practice catching Frank doing it right as much as I can. I practice trying to, I do. I wake up with gratitude. I'm an optimist. There's nothing that can get in my way. Sometimes he'll say something. I'm like, are you kidding? I don't even see that. The water machines, I saw them, but I didn't see them the way he saw them. I didn't think that there was I wouldn't even think of a possibility of getting a new machine. I'm the one that would say, let's put a sign on it. Let's figure out how to use what we have because it's a beautiful machine. So I think through our experience of living and loving and teaching and growing our relationship with each other, it just has taken practice every single day because we don't think alike, but we appreciate each other for the way we do think. And, I watch Frank and his mind never stops. He's never happy unless he's tangibly, physically working on something. Right now he has 15 projects. He's building a house, he's redoing a house, he's all these things. And he still loves to go to the salons every week and see all the people and encourage the people and be with the people. And for myself, what I like is the one-on-one time. I was a hairdresser and a really good hairdresser, and I love the energy of the salon. I love that enthusiastic feeling. But I really love being with one person and helping them see what's possible for them. And that's just what's for me right now in my career, in my life. And no matter what, I have to stay relevant. I have to show up as my best self, whether it's a dinner date with my husband or I'm walking into a location. I have to be Jana. I have to have my name tag on and a smile on my face and a spirit of love and harmony and kindness. And wherever I take myself, that's who I have to be. And I truly believe that the practice of relationships is a practice. And every single day we have to practice. And I love where we are today. I don't think about yesterday. I told you that at the beginning of the conversation. I think about tomorrow, but not like Frank does. And I'm just grateful that he's one of my people that I get to hang out with and dream with. And before we were even in a relationship, we were just really good friends. We were both working at Gadabout. He was an intern. I bought a sweatshirt that said, "Big dreamers never sleep." And I gave it to him for a gift because I knew that back then in his early 20s that he never stopped dreaming. And we still get that sweatshirt out. Wiley wears it around the house every once in a while. And we still have it. And big dreamers never sleep. And I would not be where I am today if I wouldn't have surrounded myself with such a big dreamer. So grateful for you.
The relationship works just like we said. Show me the 5 people you hang out with and I'll show you what you become. In our relationship, we hang out with each other and we get to enhance each other's lives. And we start every morning with coffee together. We don't run out the door going, we calmly sit. I get up much earlier and right mind myself because I don't have Jana's gift of just waking up and sunshines, lollipops, and rainbows. But it's so important that you do that for yourself. And there's a lot of couples in this industry together, and I've seen it tear a lot of people apart. We're here to try to help people say it can grow together, but you have to take the time. You absolutely have to take the time. And when we are making, to your point, making big moves, if we have bold things going on, we do bold things very slowly. Funny story, I remodeled all of our salons. My first experience remodeling a salon, I did it in 3 days. I had the whole thing built in a storage room, brought it in 3 days, we plopped it down. I got so much hate email from guests, the staff, everyone hated it. They couldn't handle the big change. I can, so I thought, okay, learning curve, everyone. Integrate very slowly. Have your big plan, but bring it in slowly. If you have a plan to change a service in your company, bring it in slowly. You plop it down and say, this is the new way. Boy, get ready. It's going to make your phone ring. So we are human beings in a very human world, and we don't like change as much as change is relevant and absolutely always going to be. Go slow with it. And you get people to buy into it a lot faster that way. So
Such important business advice because, especially in the first few years of owning a business, I think when people are rapidly changing because they're trying to figure it out, right? They're like, how's this going to work? We probably rapidly change too often. We haven't given things the time to grow the legs that create stability, but also, like, you just haven't learned yet that you're just like hurting yourself every time you try to go so fast and you don't just test something or move it a little bit slowly. Like, that's hard for people that are big dreamers because you just want it now. You're like, oh, I just want to make it happen. So really good advice that you're giving them to learn, like, it's okay to go a little slower. Like, that doesn't mean failure. Because I think that's what a lot of people associate it with is if I don't go fast, then I'm not going to get there. But it's almost the opposite, right? It's like if you go too fast, you may not get there.
in my experience, when I'm driving too fast, I'm usually going to get in trouble. And when I drive the right speed, I have a much better chance at getting to my destination very calmly, cool and collected, and in one piece.
Safe.
Yeah.
Safe, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, for anybody listening that does not know Frank and Jana Westerbeke, I will put in the show notes the company's website and Instagram, and they are a very valuable resource that you should know. And if you're not part of Intricafure, that is a great place to come and meet them personally, because they are there every spring and every fall with smiles and really helping support the industry. You guys, I love you both so much, and I am so just grateful, A, that you came to be here with me today and have this conversation, but much bigger than that I get to call you friends and mentors. So thank you so much.
We love you too. Thank you for the time. Beautiful,
Steph,
beautiful
thank you.
seeing your lovely smile.
Thanks. You too.
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Love you. Bye.